to go to the recipe detail page, when we click a recipe item, we can use a feature you already know. You can go to the ion item you're rendering in the recipes page, which is the item you want to make clickable. And you could add a click listener and navigate programmatically. But you can also just use router link here, as you can do in a normal Angular app. And that is really amazing. In Ionic 2 and 3, you had to use Ionic's own navigation solution for going to different parts of the app. And it did use Angular for the components, but added its own navigation. Now Ionic fully embraces Angular, and it will do the same for React and Vue, by the way. And that means that you don't have to keep an eye on Ionic and update when that changes, and keep an eye on Angular, and maybe you're not able to update Angular because Ionic didn't update yet. Instead, you now only depend on Angular. You use native Angular features like Angular routing as it is baked into Angular. And Ionic only takes care about offering a nice page transition, a nice animation, things like that. But it gets out of the way when it comes to the heavy lifting. So here we can just enter a link we want to go to when this item is tapped. And I want to go to a dynamic link, of course, because the ID I want to load differs. So I will bind this with square brackets to property binding. And then we pass an array of segments in here. And we can add a relative link here. // and then recipe ID. And this will now go to /recipes, recipe ID. Now let's see if it works. If we save that, this page will reload. And now, if we tap this, we go to this page, and you have a nice animation for this page transition out of the box. Now, going back would also be nice, right? Where's the back button? Well, the back button has to be added separately, so you can control whether you want to have a back button on a page or not. Now, if you have a look at the Ionic docs and we go to components, then you will see that if you go all the way down to the toolbar, there is the Ion back button. Now, that back button here has to be included like this. You wrap it in an Ion buttons component, actually, which you would also use for other buttons in the toolbar for different actions. And you give it a slot of start to position it on the default starting position of the platform. Typically, that is on the left, but depending on the platform or on the region people are using your app in, it could also be on the right. So here, I will now add Ion buttons in the toolbar and give that a slot of start. And in there, I'll add my Ion back button. Now on that Ion back button, you can also set a default ref attribute here for cases where this page here we are on, the recipe detail page, was loaded as a first page, because since this is a web app, we can of course reload this page and boom, here we are. And then we have no previous page in Ionic's history, so to say. It keeps track of our navigation moves, but if we reload the app, it reloads that stored stack of pages it thinks in, and therefore we can give this a default back link where we say, okay, if you loaded this app and you don't know where we've been previously, because maybe we haven't been anywhere previously, then I want to go to /recipes here, let's say. So if we save all of that, as this app reloads here, we have the back button, and we do go back. Now if I reload on this page here, let's try it the other way around. Now if I go here, we get the back button as well. Now you will notice, at least right now, if I tab anywhere else, we don't navigate again. And right now, this is a known bug, maybe already fixed when you're viewing this. It is related to a relative path being used here. You can simply fix it by using an absolute path here. And for now, this is the easiest workaround. Use an absolute path for navigation. And with that being used, you can go back, forth, and back as often as you want to the different pages. So this is how we can navigate around. And again, most important takeaway, you use Angular features, and Ionic just adds animations, and Ionic also keeps track of your navigation moves. It constructs a stack of pages under the hood, so to say, so that it knows that you now have a previous page you haven't gone back to, and you can go back by clicking the back button. Because if you didn't reload the page here, then this back button will even work without the default ref. if I temporarily remove that, you see as this page reloads now, it will not work and not display because it doesn't know where we've previously been. If I started on recipes, now I do have the button because now Ionic keeps track of that for us. But more on that in the routing and navigation module, where we will dive deeply into how navigation works, also how we can integrate tabs and so on.